Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen, Anderson, Bates, Bell, Berryhill, Block, Canella, De Leon, Fuller, Gaines, Galgiani, Hall, Hancock, Hernandez, Hertzberg, Hill, Hueso, Huff, Jackson, Lara, Leno, Leyva, Liu, McGuire, Mendoza, Mitchell, Monning, Morrell, Wynn, Nilsson, Pan, Pavley, Roth, Stone, Vidak, Wykowski, Wolk.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. A quorum is present. Would the members and our guests beyond the rail and in the gallery please join us and rise? We will be led in prayer this afternoon by our chaplain, Sister Michelle Gorman, after which, please remain standing. We will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag by Senator Hall.
Let us center ourselves in God's presence. Holy mystery, ever-living God, in your profound silence, we hear a call to faith. Beyond the sorrows and disappointments of life, deep in the fabric of things, we sense a blessing. The blessing of existence, of having been chosen to be, of the invitation to become more generous and more dedicated to the community. At some point in the past, our name was called, and here we are, one of the blessed ones who exist. May our hearts reply to your call each day be, "Here I am." And may our determination be to carry on, sometimes in the darkness, speaking bravely and confidently into your profound silence. Amen.
Under motions and resolutions, without objection, Senate Rule 55 will be suspended for today's floor session. Under privileges of the floor, Senator Wolk.
Thank you, Madam President. Senators, once again, I'm very honored to introduce to you a group of very talented young artists from my district who are in the back of the gallery, in the back of the chambers, actually. There are 15 of them who have had their artwork put into the Aldea Art Therapy Calendar, which each of your offices should have a copy of. It's quite a wonderful calendar, and I hope you enjoy it. Aldea Children and Family Services serves the mental health needs of children and families in Napa and Solano counties. And I would like to welcome those 15 young people by name. I want to thank them for their work and congratulate them on the very beautiful artwork that's in the calendar. Jackson, Eliana, Galina, Melina, Patricia, Adriana, Victoria, Jake, KK, Megan, Brian, Alejandro, John Carlos, Ernesto, Jennifer, and Kayla. Thank you for giving us, all of us, that wonderful calendar, and we'll think about Aldea and the wonderful services it provides as we use it. Thank you
so much. A big round of applause for these young artists. Senator Fuller.
Rise for purposes of introduction.
Without objection.
I have a guest with me today, Lieutenant Colonel Wesley Clare. It is with great honor that I introduce Lieutenant Colonel Wesley Clare, who is chaplain for the California Air National Guard, which all of us have sort of an oversight function with, and he's a wonderful person with a wonderful record that I'd like you to meet. He's also from my area in Tehachapi. Lieutenant Clare served nuclear alert duty with Strategic Air Command and flew 25 combat missions for Operation Desert Storm in the B-52G. In 2005, Lieutenant Colonel Clare began his service with the California Air National Guard as a chaplain for the 144th Fighter Wing. He was selected to serve as the state chaplain in April 2013. Among Lieutenant Colonel Clare's awards are the Meritorious Service Medal with Oak Leaf Cluster, the Air Medal with Oak Leaf Cluster, the Air Force Commendation Medal with 2 Oak Leaf Clusters, and the Army Commendation Medal. Since 2002, Chaplain Clare has been the rector of St. Jude's in the Mountain Anglican Church in Tehachapi, where he lives with his wife and 4 children. And for those of you that would like some more, he has a bio that explains all of the missions and all of the honors that he received, which was very impressive. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome, Lieutenant Colonel Clare. Under privileges of the floor, we'll take a moment for this photograph. Then under privileges of the floor will be Senator Gaines. Okay. Thank you.
Great.
Senator Gaines is presenting SCR 5. We will go to that item on the file. Mr. Secretary, please read SCR 5.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 5 by Senator Gaines relative to Mentoring Month.
And we will have Senator Gaines at Senator De Leon's desk, if we may. Senator Gaines, you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam President. Good morning. I just wanted to take an opportunity today to bring you SCR 5, recognizing January as National Mentoring Month. SCR 5 recognizes the critical role that mentoring plays in the success of our youth. Young men and women are statistically at risk for not completing high school. And if you take a look at the statistics, they're not very positive. If we can get them to attend school, graduate from high school, the odds increase dramatically. So a high school graduate is 55% more likely to enroll in college, 81% more likely to participate regularly in sports and extracurricular activity, more than twice as likely to hold a leadership position in a club or sports team, 78% more likely to volunteer in the community. And the value of mentoring is clear, not only in the statistics, but in those standing behind me, and they are representing an organization called Shoulder to Shoulder. This is a youth development initiative designed for at-risk boys to help them live a life free of drugs, alcohol, and violence that could lead to limiting their future opportunities. So let me just take this opportunity to introduce Ronald Crane, Chairman of the Board, Gregory Perkins, Board of Directors, Donnell Riggins, Senior Pastor of Del Paso Union Baptist Church and mentor since 2007, Gregory Williams Jr., a mentee since 2008. There he is, great, good. And William Koibian, Bill Koibian, the founder and president of the organization. And I'd just like to tell you a little bit about Gregory Williams Jr. He came from Milwaukee with his family hoping for a better life, and it was worse. And he settled in Del Paso Heights, and it was tough. And he was getting D's in school. And he got involved in the mentoring program. And he turned his grades around. And he became the student body president. And he has been enrolled in college. Thank you. So it's just evidence of a transformation that can occur with individuals when they have a mentor and someone who cares and loves them. And this program, Shoulder to Shoulder, has done great things in our community, and we're hoping that it can be replicated throughout the state of California. So thank you for this opportunity to recognize Shoulder to Shoulder and all the hard work by these individuals. And in terms of the National Mentoring Month, I would ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll take that vote and then give a warm congratulations and thank you to the members of Shoulder to Shoulder who are here today. So is there any debate or discussion on the resolution? Any debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Bates. Aye. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Block. Aye. Cannella. De Leon. Aye. Fuller. Aye. Gaines. Aye. Galgiani. Aye. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Aye. Hueso. Aye. Huff. Aye. Jackson. Aye. Lara. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leyva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Morrell. Aye. Wynn. Aye. Nilsson. Aye. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Roth. Aye. Stone. Aye. Vidak. Aye. Wykowski. Aye. Wolk. Wolk, aye. Mac.
Ayes 34, no 0. That resolution is adopted. And thank you to the good work and the good people of Shoulder to Shoulder. If we could give them a round of applause, please. Under privileges of the floor, I believe Senator Morrell. Does Senator Morrell have? Would you like to proceed at this point, Senator? Very good. At Senator De Leon's desk, Senator Morrell.
Thank you. Members, on behalf of Senator Leyva and myself, it's our privilege to recognize the life work of Mr. Hardy Brown here with us. Mr. Brown has been the co-publisher of the Black Voice News newspaper and also founding president of the California Black Media. Mr. Hardy has been a significant figure in both the Inland Empire and around our state. Hardy was born into a sharecropper family in Jones County, North Carolina, and as a team, he was both captain of his football team and his basketball team. After graduating from high school in 1960, he moved to New York and then came west to Los Angeles. And his first job was in Kaiser Steel, which is in my backyard of Fontana. He later worked for the California Electric Company, now known as Edison, and after his time there, went to work for Kaiser Permanente, where he served in various capacities before joining the newspaper business with his lovely wife, Cheryl, who he's been married to for over 50 years. And of course, we know her as Assembly Member Cheryl Brown. So you can clap for that, yeah. As co-publishers of the Black Voice News, Hardy and Cheryl covered news in San Bernardino and Riverside counties. Their website, blackvoicenews.com, is the oldest and longest-running African-American news website on the West Coast. They also have been recognized as the only living publishers to be included in the 175th anniversary of the Black Press of America. Hardy continues to write a regular column for his paper. Hardy is also co-founder of the California Black Media. Over a decade ago, however, Hardy was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, known as ALS, but this disease has not defined his life at all. He has fought courageously, and he and his wife, Cheryl, are pillars in our Inland Empire and here in California. They're also known very much for their work providing students with financial aid as they are for their role in the publishing industry. In recognition of his life work, Cal State San Bernardino awarded Hardy an honorary doctorate degree last spring. In accepting the degree, Hardy said, "We cannot choose where we come from, but we can choose the direction we are going." Today, Hardy is joined by his lovely wife, Cheryl, daughter Regina Brown Wilson, who is also chair of the California Black Media, son-in-law Kurt Wilson, Stockton city manager, and caretaker and brother Vince Brown, and also his granddaughter, Kennedy. Members, it's an honor to present this resolution to Hardy Brown.
Congratulations. And thank you from all of us. We also, before we take the pictures, though, could we do have a couple people who'd like to speak on this matter as well. Senator Leyva, then followed by Senator Roth. Senator Leyva.
Thank you, Madam President. Good afternoon, members. Mr. Hardy Brown, I'm going to come over here so I can look at you. It is my pleasure and honor to rise today to thank you for everything that you have done in the community that I now am privileged to represent. We truly stand on the shoulders of those who come before us, so thank you for what you've done. Yeah, I have big shoes to fill, but what you and your wonderful wife, Cheryl, have done in the community that, like I said, I get to represent, I will try and do as good of a job as you have done over the years. And we are better off in the Inland Empire because of you. So thank you very much for everything you've done.
Senator Roth.
Thank you, Madam President. Hardy Brown. From an $8 a day tobacco sharecropper in North Carolina to the publisher of a major weekly newspaper in this state, your career has been absolutely extraordinary. Colleagues, I don't know if you know this, but Hardy Brown has been a patriarch of our community, Inland Southern California community, not just the African American community, but the entire community for over 35 years. He's been a mentor to some of us, and he's been a role model to all. Whenever there was a significant issue in our area of the state, or the state as a whole, Hardy Brown was in the middle of it. And I'm going to give you an example. It was December of 1998. A 19-year-old African-American woman was in her car, a disabled car, at a Union 76 station in Riverside. She was a native of what we then call Rubidoux, what we now call Jurupa Valley. She sent a family member for help, and they brought other family members back to the Union 76 station. They found her non-responsive, perhaps in a coma, so they called the police, 911. The police arrived, they looked at the car. Someone mentioned that there might be a gun in the car, so they pulled theirs. The car surrounded. Taisha Miller moved in some uncontrolled fashion. 23 shots were fired at Taisha Miller. 12 struck her. She was killed. In those early morning hours of December of 1998. Now, if you stop and think about it, this incident could have gone one of two ways. It could have drifted into obscurity because of who it involved and where it occurred, or the community could have erupted in violence. But Hardy Brown would have neither one of those, and through his Black Voice News, he ensured that the community, the entire community, not just the African American community, learned of the event and the importance of the issues, and at the same time, he kept the community calm. The result was the first ever state attorney general mandated reform through a consent decree in the history, and it brought about dramatic improvements in the Riverside Police Department's recruiting, training, and community accountability. You know, great communities depend on great leaders because that's just the way it is. So was Hardy Brown a great leader? Absolutely. Has he made a difference in the lives of every single one of us in inland Southern California and in the state of California? You bet, and we're lucky to have had him. Congratulations, Hardy Brown, Sr.
Our deepest thanks. Thank you to all the Browns, and thank you for your service to our state. Thank you so much. Also, the best-dressed man on the floor, if you'll note the red socks, please. At this point, we will go to the daily file. Messages from the governor will be deemed read. Messages from the assembly will be deemed read. Reports of committee will be deemed read, and amendments adopted under motions, resolutions, and notices. Seeing none, introduction and first reading of bills. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 175, 176, 177, 178, 179, 180.
Bills are deemed read. Under consideration now of the daily file, Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 3.
Right. Under second reading, file item number 1. That was the one reported. Fine. Under government's appointments, governor's appointments, item number 5, Senator De Leon, if you may take a moment, that's fine. Item number 5, colleagues, Senator De Leon.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Colleagues, before us we have 2, or I should say 3 government appointments, Jamie Wright, Felix Yeep, as well as Russell Atterbury. These appointees were heard in Rules Committee February 4th and approved on a bipartisan vote 5-0. There was no opposition, and the appointees responded in writing to written questions prior to the hearing. Both Ms. Wright as well as Dr. Yeep have been serving on the medical board since 2013. They were approved by this Senate body just last year with a bipartisan support, and are once again before us for confirmation. Ms. Wright is an attorney from Los Angeles, and Dr. Yeep is a medical practitioner and professor at the University of Southern California. Both of these appointees are obviously extremely qualified and committed to patient safety and consumer protection. Mr. Russell Atterbury is a chairman of the Karuk tribe, and his knowledge of sacred sites will help the commission formulate policies and procedures that will help solve potential problems while protecting these sites. Ms. Jamie Wright, as well as Felix Yeep, are appointees to be members of the California Medical Board, and Mr. Russell Atterbury is a member of the Native American Heritage Commission. With that, Madam President, as well as colleagues, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator De Leon. Is there any debate or discussion on these nominations? Any debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Bates. Aye. Bell. Berryhill. Aye. Block. Aye. Cannella. De Leon. Aye. Fuller. Aye. Gaines. Aye. Galgiani. Aye. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Aye. Hueso. Aye. Huff. Aye. Jackson.
Aye.
Aye. Lara. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leyva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Morrell. Aye. Wynn. Aye. Nilsson. Aye. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Roth. Aye. Stone.
I think
Aye. Vidak. Aye. Wykowski. Aye. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Please call the absent members.
Bell. Aye. Cannella. Pavley.
Ayes 35, no 0. Those appointments are confirmed. We have a number of items before item 13. Would you prefer to proceed with this at this time?
Yes, Madam President. We have guests that have flights, and I'd like to proceed if that's okay.
Very good.
Thank
All right, then we will go, colleagues, to file item 13 by Senator Hall relative to Black History Month. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Resolution 11 by Senator Hall relative to Black History Month.
Senator Hall.
Thank you, Madam President. As Vice Chair of the California Legislative Black Caucus, I rise to present SR 11, which recognizes February 2015 as Black History Month. This year, 2015, marks a very significant celebration. It's significant because it marks two very important moments in Black history and American history, both the 50th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act and the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday. During the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s, voting rights activists in the South were subjected to various forms of mistreatment and violence. Bloody Sunday, which outraged many Americans, occurred on March 7, 1965, when peaceful protesters seeking voting rights marched from Selma to the state capitol in Montgomery. They were met by Alabama state troopers who attacked them with dogs, nightsticks, tear gas, and even whips. Some protesters were severely beaten. This incident was captured on national television. This unprovoked attack on peaceful protesters crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama, persuaded the president and Congress to overcome Southern resistance and support equal voting rights. While these two incidents were very important in Black history and shaping modern-day society, Black History Month also represents an opportunity for people to be connected to something bigger than themselves. The accomplishments and sacrifices made by those who came before us, we should all proud ourselves of. The list of those individuals goes on and on and on. Although I do not have time to list all, including Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, and the list goes on, I would like to take this opportunity to encourage everyone listening to dig deeper in their lives, to reflect on the changes that America has overcome as relates to our connection to the Black history pioneers. The valley of everyone who contributed to Black American history is very deep and wide in America. The California Legislative Black Caucus has highlighted some of these icons here in the Capitol. Their pictures and bios are currently reflected in the rotunda display between the Senate and Assembly chambers, and I encourage all Californians to use this month to celebrate the many contributions African Americans have made to our state and to our nation as a whole. I respectfully ask for your aye vote on SR 11.
Members, debate or discussion on this item. Senator Hannibal Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, on behalf of the Legislative Women's Caucus, I wanted to just point out a few of the great women who have led the way, both for the Black community, but also for our society as a whole. Now, Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Do not go the path where the path may lead, instead where there is no path, and leave a trail." Again, as chair of the Legislative Women's Caucus, I want to notice the trails African-American women have created for others to follow in their footsteps. Their remarkable contributions to our state and nation's history are frequently unrecognized, but invoke pride and admiration. We all know and loved Maya Angelou, who published one of the great poems, And Still I Rise, in 1978. But it was Phyllis Wheatley who paved the way for Angelou by being the first Black woman to have a poem published back in 1773. Sojourner Truth's 1851 8 Iowa Woman speech inspired Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm to introduce the Equal Rights Amendment in 1969. Ida B. Wells' investigative reporting on lynching allowed Ethel L. Payne to be the first African-American female commentator on national news back in 1972. Mary Church Terrell was one of the first African-American women to earn a college degree, leading the way for Ruth Simmons to be the first African-American president of an Ivy League school in 2001. Mary McLeod Bethune served as Director of Negro Affairs in the Roosevelt administration, which likely enabled Patricia Robert Harris to serve as the first African-American woman cabinet member under President Carter. And I'm going to skip a few, but I want to go to one of my favorites as a tennis player. Althea Gibson was the first black athlete to cross the color line of international tennis and was the first person of color to win a Grand Slam title in 1956 and went on to win 11 more. Venus and Serena Williams' combined 39 Grand Slam titles could not have been accomplished without the trail left by Althea Gibson. As we celebrate Black History Month, let us remember the black women who blazed trails and created paths and made our history what it is today. I too ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Senator Ben Wesso.
Thank you, Mr. President. As Vice Chair of the Latino Caucus, it is my honor to rise today in strong support of State Resolution 11. Black History Month is an important time to celebrate and to reflect on the extraordinary talents, achievements, and contributions of African Americans. Of course, you know, I want to call attention to the fact that 2.5% of all the African American community are actually Latino. And that's actually a statistic in the Latino community as well, because they also make up 2.5% of all the Latino population in the country happens to be African American. And many of us are quite familiar with some of the achievements of members of this community. We recognized Rosario Dawson here recently, Alex Rodriguez, the famous baseball player, Zoe Saldana, the actress, Soledad O'Brien. There's a long list of people that are contributing to our community in so many different ways that need to be recognized. Often the people of this sector face the unique challenges of trying to find an identity as both of African American origin and Latino. We happen to have one in our assembly as well, Tony Thurman, that's here present, and we're very proud to have an African American of Latino origin. We need to do the history check on how many we've had in the legislature. But you represent a very, very small minority in our population, 2.5%, and that's why it's so important to have you here. But I want to thank everybody for coming forward on this very important day, this very important resolution that hopefully will serve as another effort to educate people about the importance of diversity in our communities and to support people of all diversities in our community to really create that beautiful fabric that makes our community one of the best places to live in the world and one of the strongest countries in the world and one of the biggest economies in the world. So I recommend an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Wesso. Any further debate or discussion? Senator De Leon.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, I too also rise in support of Senate Resolution number 11. And I want to add my comments to my fellow colleagues, to you, Senator Hannah Jackson, as well as Senator Ben Wesso, the Vice Chair of the Latino Caucus. We rise collectively in support of this measure to recognize the great achievements of men and women in the African American community, recognizing that this is Black History Month in the United States of America, but also I want to pay tribute to the achievements of great African American women who have often been overlooked by the history books, but have offered strength and determination throughout the years that have been essential for the fight for racial equality. Women like Dorothy Height, Ella Baker, Septima Clark, Diane Nash, Fannie Lou Hamer dedicated their lives to racial equality and paved the way for many inspiring women of color as well as men of color to continue their work today. Now, I recognize that the purpose of celebrating Black History Month is not solely to memorialize, if you will, the past, but also to take a moment of reflection of where we're at today. Senators Hall just recently, along with our former caucus chair, gave a very eloquent speech, Senator Holly Mitchell, on the issue of Martin Luther King. But it's also a moment, like I say, to underscore, to take a moment of reflection to see where we're at today with regards to racial equality, or better stated, racial inequality. With regards to the quality of our schools, the lack of access of opportunity to succeed, the issue with regards to corrections, the issue with regards to access to capital, who has it, who doesn't, issues of uplifting people out of poverty into the middle class and sustaining that middle class. These are issues that are all before us. And that's why, as stated earlier today, or before, what policies we create and we vigorously debate on this red carpet, as well as the other chamber, the green carpet, makes a profound difference in the lives of ordinary human beings. And my favorite teacher was my 5th and 6th grade teacher, Miss Juanita Wright, from a small town in Texas, Gonzales, Texas. And she was part of this incredible Black migration from the South, where you're from Alabama, South Carolina, from the panhandle of Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, East Texas, coming all the way post-World War II, looking for a better life, And that's when they established African-American communities, whether it was in Richmond or in Oakland, Bay Hunters Point, in Compton, in Crenshaw, Southeast San Diego, Morrison, Lincoln High School, where I went to San Diego High School. This great migration from the South that contributed to the uplifting of the state of California as we know it today. And when we have incredible African-American leadership, both women and men here today, it's a reflection of how far we have gone, and also at the same time, how far we need to go still to bring about racial equality with all individuals, regardless of who you are and where you come from. That's why I stand here in support of Senate Resolution number 11. It's an amazing time to think about the past, but also too about the present, as well as where we need to go in the future. With that, I rise in support.
Thank you, Senator De Leon. Is there any further debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Senator Hall, you may close.